right, hello everybody!
Hey there!
Ranger Rogers here.
And Ranger Rogers here.
Reporting for duty.
We are so excited as we come across this next unit in our social studies and our ELA unit that covers something so near and dear to the Ranger Rogers is
the national parks!
That's right. So if you don't know this, Mr. and Mrs. Ranger Rogers love the national parks. As you can tell, we're almost official park rangers. And so over the last 10 years, we have gone to as many as we can. Kind of sounds pathetic. We've only been to 22.
But there are 62 national parks actually as of this year. So we're a third of the way there. Not too bad.
40 to go. So we are so excited to cover some of this country's most beautiful and preserved parts. So we have a story we're going to read to you titled, You Are Home.
And it is an ode to the national parks. So you'll see some of the beautiful landscapes and some of the amazing animals that we see when we go visit these places.
Who wrote this book?
Oh, sorry, Ranger Rogers. This is by Turk.
All right, here we go.
Here we go. To the chipmunk in her burrow, sleeping beneath the leaves to keep warm. What national park do you think that you might see a chipmunk in, Ranger Rogers?
So, it does not seem like it would be Denali. I see leaves. I'm thinking probably Shenandoah in the Virginia area.
You are correct.
Ah.
To the resilient bison in the steaming oases of an endless winter, you are home.
Now, I'm pretty sure I know this one. I see that it's snowy. We didn't go when it was snowy, but we saw lots of bison in Yellowstone.
We actually have some fun stories that maybe we'll share with you a little bit later about Yellowstone National Park and our encounters there with the bison.
Fun now, after it was done.
To the wildflowers painting the warming hillsides, to the pronghorn chewing the grass of her first spring, you are home.
So this one is not well known, but it's in Colorado, the Great Sand Dunes National Park.
Beautiful. One that we have not been to yet.
On the list.
To the prowling bobcat, slinking between slivers of light and shadow.
Now, we luckily did not see this one, but I know the bobcat can be found in Yosemite National Park in California.
To the constellations of blinking fireflies in the warm summer nights, you are home.
So, this is the most traveled to national park, the Great Smoky Mountains in Georgia.
I've been there. Mr. Rogers has not. To the herds of elk trumpeting the arrival of fall, to the forests of twinkling aspen turned golden by the shortening days, you are home.
This is one of the first ones that Mrs. Rogers, I should say Rangers Rogers, went to Rocky Mountain National Park in Colorado.
To the child in the city, surrounded by windows, noise, and crowds, to the child on the farm, surrounded by endless fields. You are home. This is one of Ranger Rogers and my favorite parks we've ever been to, and this park is Zion National Park, which is in Utah, and it is absolutely beautiful, as you can see by the pictures here.
There's some cool hikes called the Narrows, where you hike up a river, and Angel's Landing, which is absolutely beautiful.
To the child whose family has just left its first footprints on new shores.
Coming from Texas, Big Bend National Park.
Named for the river that flows through this desert park itself. To the child whose ancestors lived on these lands before the Stars and Stripes took them as their own, you are still home.
All right, this one takes us to Mesa Verde, which is known for its hieroglyphs in the walls that you can see from the ancient people that lived there before us long ago.
Beneath the soaring doorways of stone and peaks that pierce the ceiling of clouds. Now these two parks are actually very different from each other. This one is
Arches National Park in Utah again.
And this one is Haleakala National Park, which is in Hawaii. Both parks that Ranger Rogers and I have visited.
Yeah, so what's really cool about Haleakala, you actually climb up the mountain, and every morning the clouds roll in and you get to go at sunrise and see the sun come across the clouds. It's beautiful.
Within the corridors of ancient, breathtaking trunks of trees and the teeming reefs of the ocean floor, you are home. And these two are also parks that Mr. Rogers and I have both been to.
So we've got over here, we've got Sequoia, home of the largest trees in the world.
The redwood trees and sequoia trees.
Yep, and then we have Biscayne down in Florida, which 95% of the national park is actually below water.
It's all a coral reef, which is beautiful to see, even from above.
And it has lots of mosquitoes.
Oh, lots of bugs. Gazing toward the highest of branches stretched up to the galaxies, swirling beyond the moon, you are home.
And this one coming from Redwoods National Park in California.
Mm-hmm. Home is a memory of footsteps and wing beats of sunrise and sunset.
Takes you to Everglades, also in Florida. They should have had a wind boat and chasing alligators.
That's right, like we did on when we were there. But the herons are beautiful too. Of the moving of mountains and rivers of ice.
Takes us to northern Montana, Glacier National Park. This one we were supposed to go to and then it snowed and we couldn't go.
Yeah, in the middle of June, they got 18 inches of snow, which we were not prepared for. A memory carried through wind and rain, echoing in canyons, carved way down deep in the heart of the earth and in our hearts alike.
Into Arizona, one of the wonders of the world, the Grand Canyon.
Through rising seas and thawing ice, a home's walls may topple, its floors might crack.
Uh-oh, two that we have not been to.
Ooh, we need to get cracking on this.
That's right, Glacier Bay up in Alaska and Hawaii volcanoes, which is one of the most common active volcano sites in the world.
And that's on the big island of Hawaii. But what keeps a home standing can never be broken.
Takes us into Grand Tetons National Park just south of Yellowstone.
And when we were there, we actually did see some mama bears and their baby bears. You don't want to ever get too close, but we were able to see them from afar.
Stay away from the cubs.
But what keeps a home standing from never being broken? What do you think, Mr. Rogers?
I don't know.
A sense of belonging, sung by the streams, from valleys to peaks, over thousands of miles, through millions of hearts.
Back into the Great Smoky Mountains.
We might need your help here. From every river, star, and stone comes the eternal refrain. In this park we just visited this past year, this is Olympic National Park in Washington State. Not to be confused with Washington, D.C. We're talking near the Pacific Ocean.
Let's see.
Oh, wow. You are
Home.
home. This is just beautiful. That's very pretty. Let's see if there's anything left before we wrap up here. And we are at the end of our story. So thanks for tuning in with us. Here's a map of the United States. So if you're ever interested in going to any national parks yourself, there are, how many, Mr. Rogers?
62.
That's right. There are 62 national parks in our great United States. Everything from Acadia, which is in Maine, all the way to Alaska and Hawaii and the West Coast. So lots of beautiful, amazing places that you can go visit and go see and experience nature just like we have.
What's really cool is you get to see many of the biomes that you can find on Earth. So if you wanted to go obviously to Alaska to see some of the tundra representation, some of the largest mountains, the largest deserts. You have rainforest. You have beautiful arches in Arches National Park.
Marine ecosystems, desert ecosystems.
And the best part about it is those areas are preserved for safety and for you to go visit. These are your national parks, right? They are for you to enjoy nature and see some incredible sights.
And the cool thing too, Ranger Rogers, is that when you're a 4th grader, you can actually visit the national parks for free. Did you know that?
I did. So make the most of it.
Absolutely.
Go
So
check
4th grade teachers, we have to pay. But 4th graders, you get to go for free, which is pretty awesome.
Pretty great.
So thanks for tuning in and enjoying our book with us. We're Ranger Rogers, and we'll see you later.
See ya.